All right. Well, good morning to the world for joining us. This very, very good. I know I always say that every week, but every week I'm right. Every week I'm sure you hear the speakers and the people that are on this panel. You say, well, Dr. Ying is once more right. And this week is actually very, very super special. I not only have a dear, dear, longtime friend of mine from the United Kingdom who's amazing artist. She's worked with many of the top celebrities in the music industry. She's absolutely fabulous. Like I said, your resume is like so long, we'll be spending 2 hours just talking about it. And we have my usual super talented co-host, Andrea Wen, who is the creator of One World, One Humanity. So I'm getting a little bit of feedback on the phone. So but we have another prominent guest who was actually introduced to me by our prayer warrior, Mike and Kitty Ragin. And that is Cynthia Mangum, who's a leader prominent of the Baha'i faith in Atlanta, Georgia. In case you're not aware, the Baha'i, they're a very, very prominent organization, religious organization that's done a lot of great things around the world. And I'm blessed to actually have a dear friend of mine called Fazam Kalamavadi that's done, well, he helped, I think I could say that he helped build China into the powerhouse that it is today. And what he did in China, he's now doing in Africa. And those that know me know I'm obviously also working on that path to bring Africa back into the shining light that it once was. So I'm very, very connected to Baha'i faith as well. Their religious belief is also based prominently on knowledge, truth, and science-based. So that's why there's a very, very strong connection between their faith and my scientific thing. So anyway, sorry about this. I get a bit of music on the background with Mike and Kitty on the conference call line. I'm probably going to have them on the Zoom as well, set them on Zoom so they can be on the Zoom as well as their conference call line. But so anyway, I apologize. I had to disconnect them due to interference. So I don't want to, because we have such a special guest, I didn't want to, interfere with our prominent speaker and guest today. So I apologize, Mike and Kitty, they're watching on. I had to disconnect you because our phone got disconnected. So instead of your global prayer line, I'm going to have Cynthia say the prayer to the world for this morning. So it is just faithful that she's a guest for us here. So Cynthia, in place, well, of course, we can never replace Mike and Kitty, of course, they're absolutely beautiful. No one can replace them. But of equal quality and magnitude, I wanted to introduce Cynthia to give a brief intro to the rest of the world and for her to say the prayer to the world to kickstart this session. So Cynthia, thank you very much. Platform is yours. You're on mute, Cynthia. Unmute yourself. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'll just say just a few brief words about what the Baha'i faith is in case you haven't heard of it. But it's the newer of the world religions. Only came into being in the mid 1800s. The basic teachings are the oneness of God, that all religions come from the same God, the unity of humanity, and the harmony of science and religion. It's the second most widespread faith after Christianity. But Baha'is also believe that in the independent investigation of truth, not to blindly follow what we are told, that to investigate the truth for ourselves, elimination of prejudice, gender equality. Religion should be the cause of love, affection and joy, not contention and hatred. In the future, we should have an abolition of extremes of wealth and poverty. There still be those that are richer than others, but these extremes should not exist. And just universal human rights. So I'm going to say a prayer. This is a prayer
But
that
just
was.
before you say a prayer, Cynthia,
Yes, go ahead.
I 101% agree with that. In fact, I thought you stole my script. That's exactly what
Oh, really?
and we doing. Of course, your faith bar has a lot more prominence, of course, and done so much. So we walk in your shadow. So I am blessed that we literally, I and my global collective, walk in your shadow. So I just want, sorry for that interruption, but I'll let you say a prayer to Will, and then I've got Mike and Kitty back onto the line. So after you say a prayer to Will, I'm going to get Mike and Kitty also to say a prayer on their behalf. So Cynthia, sorry for that interruption. Thank you.
Now I'll turn the floor. The floor is yours. Thank you.
So Cynthia, do you want to carry on? Do you want to say a prayer to Will first?
Would like me to go ahead and let's say the,
Please.
okay.
Please.
I'll say the opening prayer. This is a prayer that's revealed in the Baha'i scriptures. O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. In thy holy presence, they are all thy servants, and all mankind are gathered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at the table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all, thou hast provided for all, thou shelter all, conferrest life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all, let the religions agree, make the nations one, so they may see each other as one family, and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our eyes through the light of guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word, and shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and powerful. Thou art the forgiving. Thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind. It's from Abdul Baha.
Amen to that, Cynthia. That's so beautiful. I first time I heard this Baha prayer, and it is so elegant, so beautiful. And I will ask you to send me a copy as well, so I can incorporate that into what we deliver to the entire world. So it's a message that I'm so glad that you delivered to the world. I asked you if you're convenient to stay on this podcast while we conduct this interview with our super guest today, our celebrity star from UK, Jewel Dennis. But before I start, I just wanted to say I got Mike and Kitty back onto the phone. So Mike, Kitty, I asked you to say your prayer to Will, please. Okay, deliver your message to Will. Over to you, Mike, Kitty. No, just use this line. The world's listening in right now. The world is listening. Okay, so say your prayer. Thank you.
This morning, my name. I am the servant in thy sin. You have risen from my God, and God thy oneness has shown forth in the hastening of thy will. You have set its radiance upon me, according to what has been ordained in thy decree. Praise be unto thee, O my God, that we have awakened to the splendor of the light of thy knowledge. Send down then upon us, O my Lord, peace. What will enable us to depend on anyone but rid us of all attachment, heart. Write down moreover for me, and such give me for my kindred man, woman alike, this world and the world to come. Keep with faith, thy unfailing protection. Now thy beloved, the entire creation, the desire of the union, and the deep veil. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful, Mike. Beautiful. Thank you for connecting me to this amazing woman, Cynthia. She's absolutely magic, and she, like yourself, Mike, will help guide me, this arrogant scientist, on the right path. So you've done great things for me, and I'm so blessed. So I'll send you the recording and your dear message to the world later on. Okay. So I'm going to conduct the rest of the podcast now. All right. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye. So sorry for that little hiccup on the thing, but I'm sure you got to hear the great message both from Mike Kitty and our super special guest, Cynthia, who are asked to stay on this podcast for the next 15-20 minutes as well. So now to the episode for today, which is a very important one called Mental Health Pandemic. Those that watched the short video I sent out is aware that 1 in 8 people in this world. So now the world population actually exceeded 8 billion people last week. So 1 in 8 means there are 1 billion people on this planet that has some mental illness disorder. Now, unlike a physical illness, which you can see and you can sympathize, a lot of mental illness is invisible. So a lot of times it is not properly taken care of. In fact, the healthcare system is not geared up for it, which is shameful. It should be, okay? Because a lot of our problems is delivered by people that are mentally sick. So instead of punishing them, of course they commit crime, you're punishing them, but we should be more proactive. We should be proactive and help resolve the mental. Just like someone's got a broken arm, we should fix that broken arm. Similarly, if someone's got mental illness, we should fix that mental illness so it doesn't get worse and it doesn't lead to criminality, to social unrest, to other things which makes it the rest of the world suffer. Okay, so it is a very important part. And the reason why we have this special celebrity, Julie Dennis, on, like I said, her resume of working with superstar on the highest level is so outstanding. But she's focused a lot of her energy these days on this most critical issues of mental health problem. And I'm so blessed to have this dear friend of mine that is focusing on this, that regrettably, many others are letting this go through the crack. So, and I'm obviously with Andrea Wen as well, my co-host, so we're going to have an exciting time, and it is exciting time to deliver this powerful message and knowledge to the world as well. So talking about delivering, Jules, why don't you give a little intro and how and what you are doing to campaign for these critical mental health issues that's, pandemic in our world. Jules, over to you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Well, really, I've been working with mental health probably all my life, and part of the emphasis of my work has been with creative practitioners because I'm a musician, because I discovered through teaching voice and working with the body and the breath, because everything I do is related to functional medicine, yoga, everything comes to the same place in terms of faith. In the end, it's right down to that, right down the center of it is faith in your place in the world, And so through working with collaboration, we realized there was a way of what they call intervention, and mental health intervention, or what kind of therapeutic differences can we make? Because musicians and creative practitioners in particular had a series of factors which used to bring together the crisis that was particular to the sensitivities of artists, because things like, people have the practical things, like people have no regular income, the peer pressure, the pressure to actually find a way to make a living out of your music or your art has always been a particular thing about creative practitioners. So working with people with the breath and the body, actually thinking we're talking about technique and voice and artistic presence, was the realization that all of the time we're tapping into a person's raison d'etre, why are we here? And this brings up an incredible emotional window, you know, a window into what people are here for, what they think they're here for, and our identity in the world. And I think I'd wanted to come in and work with, I was doing a research degree on creative sensory ways to basically bring people into visualization and take a good look into the interior of their thinking, because we so often move so fast around the world, we don't know what that, you know, like we don't even take the time to think about who we are. And this is the real value of meditation. When we start doing these things, we talk about this for mental health stability and well-being. So that was sort of where I came from. I came back to London just in the December before the pandemic to start, well, finish my research degree really in creative intervention for mental health and well-being, which was quite successful. And then I have a chronic illness, so this is why I was promoted to sort of really think about myself as well in terms of the reciprocal relationship between collaboration with another artist and the well-being that you find together by supporting each other in that creative work. So, and then suddenly I came with pneumonia, lost my voice, didn't manage to do any of the work I thought I was, and then suddenly we were locked down. And so it really made me start having to do the work. And when the pandemic hit, it was the realization, like a lot of people were saying, hang on a minute, this is all very well, what do we have to do in terms of stopping the infection rates? But actually, what about the mental health ramifications? Do we need to be proactive now? And of course we did need to be, and we weren't. Do you know what I mean? And it was quite difficult, because I remember seeing a lovely article in the Washington Post and the New York Times as well, where people were actually talking about this. There was a normal distribution of the infection rates, the kind of levels that we've seen sort of went across a normal distribution, you know, but right behind that, shadowing that, was the mental health crisis levels that were happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're now in the death throb of the COVID pandemic, luckily. Yeah. So a lot of the world's now reopening.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Like I said, the mental health aspects of it, from affecting the job, the economy, all that stuff, is still there. So the virus may be now gone and dead, hopefully, and its death throw, but its lasting legacy will have an enormous impact on this world for many years to come. But anyway, I'm sure Andrea will have, because Andrea also told me this is a very critical, important topic for Andrea as well. So I know Andrea has a lot of comments and things that she wants to say as well. Andrea?
Oh, most definitely. And
I just wanted to finish that thought. That was just one last sentence on that, was that the tail behind it, once the pandemic's gone, is huge. And that's what we're dealing with now. So that was just, I just wanted to finish that thought before you came to me, Andrea, because I thought I hadn't. Sorry, darling, go on.
No, totally fine. You know, now that I'm talking with you, especially a musician, among many other things, you were talking about music sensitivity. You know, there's been so many research on music therapy and how effective it actually is. One thing that really took my attention during the pandemic is the fact that so many, especially young people, said that the greatest shield they had during the pandemic depression that most of the people experienced was the shelter of music. And many people really states that they cannot live without music, and that's literally what they pushed. And you know, as an artist myself, I feel that connection with music too, but I wanted to see your point of view as a musician that works actively on mental health, the important role of music in our lives, how music can really help our mental health. That's one of my questions.
Yeah, I think, you know, I always felt that was essential. As I say, before the pandemic even started, that was the work I was doing. bringing yourself into your sensitivities, and even things like the physics of music, you know. I mean, even Aristotle talked about, you know, how we build character, we build our place in the world by our understanding of music, you know, that far ago, you know, like it gives us our stability in life and our sense of placement. And I think what the difference was that this was already happening with a lot of musicians. We were trying to do that work, but through the pandemic, people suddenly discovered their creative life because they had time to do that. There was crisis, yeah, and the main, you know, when you look at like what do we deal with the grief and the differences, but what are the positive things that came from it for mental health? And that was people started engaging in a way that they'd not engaged before. And like I'm saying, the requirement to go in and look about what you felt about the music you were creating, suddenly there was this massive creative boost. But also on the other side of that were a lot of creative musicians who felt they couldn't do anything. They felt silent. They felt they didn't know their voice anymore. And there was a lot of sense of losing your identity because we were required to do as we were told, to be collectively responsible. So the sense of individual identity rocked a bit, really. And it's just, and we tend to pathologize mental health. We say it's an illness, you know, and therefore we need drugs, or we need an illness that needs therapeutic intervention in the classical sense. But actually, music and the taking part in a mindful way with music, like being mindful about how you feel about it while you're creating it, has incredible benefits. And that's the thing that has been an unseen benefit, where we talk all the time about there's all these ramifications and knock-on effects of the identity crisis of all of us. There is definitely a global post-traumatic event happening, but that in itself, the crisis often brings with it the requirement for resolution. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's been a lot of positive work, as you say, that started asking questions that we weren't really asking before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and you know, why don't you, if you allow me to make my second question about raising that awareness and asking ourselves the important questions. I truly believe that this pandemic have made a great contribution to human consciousness just by raising this awareness of who am I? You were talking about identity, and also what are we doing here? So what's the purpose of our life? Those are probably the most important questions in order to evolve ourselves and also get outside that dark hole that pushes down, that it's those mental illnesses. So why don't you talk about what the meaning behind those two questions and the importance of it in order to recover from these mental illnesses?
Well, I think it's made us think about, because it's made us think about what is our identity, who am I, what's my place in the world, and what can I make different. It requires us also to think about how we create our lives. Because when I talk to people about how to start to tap into your creativity, like if we work on improvisation, you say, well, if you can create your life, you can make a cup of tea in a creative way. You know, everything you do is creating your life. It's not just creating a piece of music, it's creating everything around you by speaking out, suddenly speaking out where you're uncertain, where you are certain, what you want to do differently. I mean, a really simple thing was a couple of anecdotal things where, you know, people working in airports, they're just not getting the staff again. Because what the pandemic allowed us to do was step back and reflect on people's lives. I don't really want to go back there. I don't want to really go back to not thinking about that interior. And you can't, it's sort of like the jig is up, you know, the genie's out the bottle. People suddenly understand that they can take control and design their lives. It's the art of living. That's what we've all discovered we are in control of. And so while we all wobbled about who am I, what's my identity, I don't know, I'm never going to work again, am I going to, once the panic is over and we are compassionate with each other about that, then we can start creating a new life as a community. And I think before the pandemic, and certainly now, we have to remember the one-to-one communication with people, saying, are you all right? Because people feel, I don't want to go on about it because everybody's suffering, everybody's had grief, everybody's had loss, I don't want to go on about me. But actually, it's important that we talk about this, and then we can move past it, and then we can create a future that we want for ourselves rather than being blindly led along. And so I've heard so many people saying, I just don't want to go back to the old life. It just doesn't interest me anymore. And then they find it difficult to, you know, find people to work in the airport because nobody wants to rush the bags through and not think about anything else, or have time to sleep, or have time to take time to create.
Well, thanks for those beautiful. I apologize. I have two apologies to make to Will. Okay, first apology is this keeping this so short on such a critical aspects of society. But like I said to you, we're not going to solve it, even if it's 10 hours, 100 hours. But we are going to be doing the walking as we're doing the talking. So that's my first apology, is that we could continue this a lot, but obviously we're pretty much over the time. So that's number one apology. The second apology is those that know me well, and Jules know me, Andrea knows me well, is that I'm rather bad-tempered, as everyone probably know. I'm also very foul-mouthed, as everyone probably know. And sometimes my dealing with people that come to me is rather abrasive, but I'm just being truthful, because if I'm preaching that I'm delivering knowledge and truth, then I have to deliver the truth about myself as well. And sometimes I'm aware that people come to me because they need assistance, they need help, sometimes because of the mental issues, and they look up to me. And I'm not saying that for boasting, I'm just telling the truth. And I apologize to those people that I've not had the patience and the elegance and the teaching, because I'm a nuclear physicist, but I'm not a psychologist. So there are times when I know where I've been rather abrasive to people that perhaps reach out to me. So to those that I've upset personally, I sincerely and publicly apologize to you. Okay, but that's my nature. Like I said, God gave me the task to deliver knowledge and truth, but gave me a big brain and a huge mouth, but I have no other talent. But thankfully, God has connected me with beautiful people that are a lot more caring and a lot more talented and helping people the way it should be. And I want to close this session out by, obviously, those that really need to seek aid, help for them to overcome the mental distress and seeking out either through mental health counseling or through faith. I'm going to post these two questions to my super guest stars, Julie Dennis and Cynthia, and how they can, these people that will be seeking out such help through faith or through counseling, where they can reach out to you, or you can direct them to, you know, to places, another place that can actually give them the professional help. With me, Dr. Ying, I'm a PhD in, my doctor is a PhD, is not a real medical or psychological, so I apologize again if I, you know, I don't give you the just thing, so dear to my heart. So, you know, but anyway, so I'm going to start off with Jules. Where can people, if they need help, obviously they're seeing this on Facebook and whatever, but they're seeing on podcasts, so they reach out to you. Where can they either contact you or other channels or other groups that they can seek help, especially on this mental health issue? So Jules, can you give them some guidance?
Well, it may sound like the obvious, but Samaritans are an amazing organisation. They have a 24-hour helpline. If you don't know, it's often very difficult when you're at your worst to talk to people, but just get on the phone, and it doesn't matter that you don't even know what you're going to talk about. But when you get to that desperate point, Samaritans are amazing, because not only do they listen to you, they direct you to the right place for you. There's another organisation in Britain, and it's a wonderful one, called the Matry, and it offers 5-day retreats for people in mental health crisis who are feeling suicidal but not about to commit suicide, but it gives you a retreat away from life, and in that they give you a plan for how to go forward. They direct you to all the right services. They're a real unknown gem.
Can you spell that? How do you spell that?
The Matry, maytree.co.uk.org.uk, you know, and they're a UK organisation. They've got 2 charities. There's one in Manchester, one in London. They're fantastic. But Samaritans will direct you everywhere. For musicians and artists, we have Music Minds Matter, and there's also a 24-hour phone line there for musicians. If you ring up, if you just look online at help musicians, you will find a 24-hour line for mental health. And it's just that's the first port of call. And then all the other organisations like CAB and things you might need help with, money, with finance, because it's often domestic violence, addiction and lack of money that comes in this situation that really exacerbates. So they'll give you the advice about that too. But just get the line to Samaritans first, and wherever you are in the world, they'll send you to the right place for you.
Yes, fantastic. So to everyone seeking help, Jules just gave you some great resources that you can connect. And Cynthia, since you started this, I'll let you end it as well. Where can people seek out the Baha'i faith, either US or globally? Where can they go if they're interested in this beautiful faith that you have just described to the world? Cynthia? You're on mute right now, Cynthia. Unmute yourself. Thank you.
Sorry. Baha'i, BAHAI.org, O-R-G.
Okay, that's beautiful. So I've done a lot there, and like I said to you, I walk in the shadows, truthfully. They're absolutely beautiful. So I am surrounded by 3 caring, beautiful, smart women. The future is, like I said, power to women. Seriously, as a man, I can say that, okay? And I'm blessed to have 3 absolutely amazing, caring, I said to you. And again, I sincerely apologize that there are times where I am very, very abrasive and not caring, okay? Truthfully, I am caring, but my way of delivering it isn't exactly the most ideal way, to be quite honest with you. All right, Jules, you wanted to say something?
Just one thing, that I'm a Nichiren Buddhist as well, which is, and basically we're totally dedicated to world peace in the same way. And there's a Buddhist organisation in every town, in every country in the world, you know what I mean? So again, it's a really brilliant community that brings about world peace. It's a lay organisation as well. And, you know, again, it's a great source of comfort for me and for a lot of people, where we chant for each other. We're totally dedicated to Rufu.
I apologise, but I'm going to talk a little bit of business as you brought up. Our collective, I just signed an agreement with Buddha Water for exclusive distribution of water from Lumbini, which is the birthplace of Lord Buddha. Sorry about that thing, but there's commercialization. We are actually going to deliver bottled water from Lumbini and raise money for Nepal and all this causes. Nepal is a beautiful, beautiful nation as well. So we're not just generating cash for profit's sake. We're generating for good causes as well. So look out. The brand name is Buddha Rain, and I'm blessed to be associated with the Buddha government trust that operates the water, and we'll be distributed around the world. In case you're realizing, bottled water is a $300 billion business. So, but like Cynthia said, we want to generate the cash evenly, distribute. So we want to take over the $300 billion industry with the most sacred water in the world. But then we want to distribute that wealth fairly to all of humanity. Okay, so
Perfect.
I just wanted to see you brought that up. So anyway, we could talk on for another 10
Yeah.
hours. I'm quite certain, but I said to you, I'm glad we had to cut this. So I have to thank my co-host, and Andrea, I'm sure you said you want to say something.
Oh, well, I just have to thank you, and I have to thank our guest for bringing this topic for today's podcast on mental health, because I would love to say that just by when we have the desire to improve ourselves, having a healthy mind, a healthy soul, and a healthy body, that's when we bring the real change to the world, and when we make the world a better place. That's the right way to make a great impact on this planet, and it's by taking care of our mental health, of our spiritual soul, and of our body. So this is such an important topic, and I really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you to both of our guests and you, Leong.
Yeah, no, this is probably the best, most enjoyable podcast that I've had to date, and I promise to the world that we will invite these super guests again. So Jules, please, I'm down the road. Please come back on. Your wisdom is so great, and your talent as well. And Cynthia, we will have to bring you back on and talk more about this amazing Baha'i faith that I believe that the world already knows about it, and I know the great things that you are doing with your organization all around the world. So I I want to extend that invitation for you in a future
Thank you.
global podcast as well. So again, thank you to Andrea, my co-host. Thanks to my special guest, our special guest speaker, Jules and Cynthia. God bless you, and we'll be back in touch. So God bless, love and peace to the entire world. Thank you.